Ms. McDonald, you have anything? Anything further?
No, I don't have anything.
I was just gonna give an update on the search for the city manager. Did you talk to Ms. Norlock today?
Yes.
You want to say it?
Yes, I spoke with Renee Narlock, who is heading the recruitment for city manager. Right now, she's got about 25 candidates that she's vetting and going through an interview process with. Because she feels like the pool is good, but that it could be better, she'd like to extend this for a little bit longer to be able to increase your opportunities for finding the right person for the job. So she will continue to work in that line, and will be checking in with me to let me know kind of what the numbers are at this point. But she did say that the pool is good, but she feels like we could get a few more just to give you all a better opportunity to take a look at their experiences and qualifications for this job.
That's what she told me.
Okay.
Thank you. One other thing she asked about, and I think we at some point we need to clarify that so it'll be fair to her as well as the applicants. We as the council had that retreat about the superintendent for utilities and separate city manager, the reporting structure. I think we need to make sure that we let her know, because I think she kind of caught between, she talked to each one of us separately, and she ain't getting the same thing. That ain't good. So we, at some point, we need to have that conversation.
I agree, and go by the city charter.
Okay.
Well, she asked me for the meeting notes, and I sent those from the meeting that was facilitated with the council and our UGA facilitator that was attended by you all, including Keith Bass and me. And during that meeting, we went through the SWOT, strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And at that point, you all said that you would have two separate people for city manager and utility superintendent, but the utility superintendent would report to the city manager. So those were the notes that I sent to her. That was the final report from UGA, and with your documentation with that.
That's your understanding, Mr. Flowers?
Absolutely.
That's your understanding? Okay. Mr. Barber, what's your understanding? What's your
I'm
understanding?
gonna go back and read that University of Georgia thing so I can make sure.
Okay.
I mean,
What I said in the campaign, the election, since then, we go by the city charter. City charter is crystal clear. Two separate positions. City manager reports to city council. Superintendent of utilities also reports to city council.
Okay.
and I'm good with it.
What you want?
If I may.
That one?
Mayor?
Okay. I think,
I just want to make a quick comment, because on that day, we did discuss that, and if you recall, we talked about the fact that the current meeting of the Utilities Committee, in the past, it's only been 2 council members, and therefore not the full representation. Now it's the entire council. And we discussed that as being the way that the council can have that direct influence and direct exposure to all things utility. But there really does need to be a single line of command as the city manager comes in. That's my recollection.
I think now that, well, just always remember, we as the council, and we also are the utility commission. So we're the same board, but it's named 2 separate things depending on which manager you're dealing with. And yeah, we do have a city charter in place, and that's what we should follow. But when we don't follow the city charter, we should be clear as to the majority of the board is changing from that. I think it's important that because this board has the authority to govern accordingly. I've said that over and over. But I think we should have, now that we have the utility commission, all 5 of us, we meet twice a month, just like we have 2 council meetings per month. I don't see where it'll be a problem to where we couldn't keep that straight and under control. So, but anyway, I just want to bring that up because we need to be clear on that. So, Ms. McDonald, I have a conversation with you, or either I can relay it to Ms. Norlock, but she needs to be clear because it's not fair to whoever's applying for this job, thinking that they coming in, whether it be a man or a woman, that they will have more duties than what being advertised. So
the advertisement right now states that, it states what the charter says, but it says for the past 20 years that it's been headed by one person, and that there is some sort of discussion that the utility superintendent would report to the city manager. And if you go back to our notes, in fact, Mr. Huffstedler, that was one of the first comments. I know earlier in January, you stated that you wouldn't vote for that because it wasn't in the charter, but during the course of that meeting, that was one of the things that you suggested, unless I think my brain was working really correctly that day, that you would support that. And as you all went through the process, you all made the determination that while there would be two people in that position, two separate people, but it would still be one unit because you wanted to avoid duplication of services and so forth. So those are the notes that we reflect, and
Those notes, somebody misheard or I misspoke. I don't foresee any duplication of service. I stand by what I've said numerous times, and I apologize if I may have misspoke. But again, the charter's crystal clear to me. There's nothing arbitrary about it. It says there'll be two positions that report to the city council. I think you can change the charter. I think you have to go through an act of the state legislature to do that.
and in
And I
those
think if we
notes
start
with the,
picking and choosing what part of the city charter we're going to abide by, I think that's a slippery slope.
well, and that's correct. And in those notes, one of the things that was suggested in there that would be done to accommodate that change would be to amend the charter. So those notes are included in that draft retreat.
I'm adamant in my position, but I may get outvoted or we may change it through the legislature, but I'm adamant.
I wanted to be clear so we could be fair with Ms. Norlock, because she called me today and she said that she would be calling you, and what you just described, she told me the same thing. So
Right.
I guess either I'll allow you to call or I'll call her, but based on what I just heard from the four council members, and I take the same position, it's 4-1. It's separate and they both report to the city council. That's what I just heard.
Let me ask, I just want to be clear what you're saying. They're two separate entities. I understand that, two separate people.
Correct.
So you're suggesting that the utility supervisor reports directly to the council and does not report to the city manager. Is that what you're saying?
That's my understanding from the,
Okay. And so how much, where do you draw the lines of delineation? Is it only that individual that stands alone? How does their organization work and whatnot that goes with it? We need a lot of clarity on that.
and you're right, and I think we need to have another retreat, because this is different for us, having two separate managers. But in order for us to do that, we can't just have a meeting for an hour, 30 minutes or something and get that resolved. We're gonna have to have another retreat, and we need to do it soon, because we're fixing to start advertising for a superintendent for utilities. And even though we have an assistant superintendent of utilities, he can apply just like the other people that apply. But I think moving forward, and we need to get on the ball, because we are into the 7th month and we haven't done anything pretty much as far as, I mean, staff, y'all have done stuff working, and we appreciate that, but I'm saying the council and trying to come together so we can move forward. That's all I'm saying. So, but anyway, okay, that's it for the add-ons as far as discussion. Ms. Flowers.